Welcome to the Hateful Hitman Podcast. Brought to you by Hitman Fantasy Productions. Premier football coverage from college to NFL to fantasy and everything in between. And now, in the Hitman's Hideout, here's your host, Chris Strasbaugh.
Oh yeah, we're back. Welcome back in to the Hateful Hitman Football Podcast. I am Chris Strasbaugh. You can find me on Twitter at Hateful Hitman. It has been a while since I've been behind the microphone. Took a little break from podcasting. Did not take a break from fantasy footballing. We've had the NFL draft. We've had so much talk about Aaron Rodgers, Julio Jones. We've got all kinds of stuff happening in the NFL. Welcome back in on this Memorial Day. It's a day of reflection, a day of remembering, a day of truly being thankful for our freedom, for the men and women who have served, will serve, are serving, who have given their lives, loved ones who have lost loved ones. It's truly a day of reflection. It's not necessarily a day for saying Happy Memorial Day or whatever, but it's definitely a day to look back, on where we've come as a country and be truly thankful for what we have, because we do have so much in this great country. I usually do a podcast on Memorial Day, so I figured what better day than today to kick it back off and get back into it. I haven't been completely void from podcasting. Brian and I did do the rookie assessments and the rookie breakdowns prior to the NFL draft on on Sportscaster. If you watch those, it's sure to appreciate it. Did do the live version where I was broadcasting live during the first round of the NFL draft on Podbean. That was kind of fun. Very, you could interact with people a lot more on a live feed. So that was kind of neat to do. Today, I'm starting Hitman's Walk Across College Football, and I'm doing it a little bit different this year. I always seem to run out of time with fantasy drafts, or actually running into the actual college and NFL season. I'm condensing it this year. I'm just going to concentrate on the Power 5 only. May touch on some names, outside the Power 5, to not only watch out for college fantasy, but also for Devy purposes. But today's more of a day to get reacclimated with football, because it looks like we're going to have full stadiums this year. We're going to have things getting back to some semblance of order in the football world. And as fantasy enthusiasts, I know we're all looking forward to that. Like I said, I have been busy with football stuff over the past several months. We've had some drafts in our fantasy leagues through Hitman Fantasy Productions. Some of those have been taken off. We had our Devy draft. We had our Devy supplemental draft. We had our college to Canton supplemental draft just yesterday, Saturday and Sunday. And then we also had our college theme league, Dynasty. We've had those drafts. So haven't been totally void from football. That never happens. I've always got some kind of ear to the ground. Just did take a little bit of a break from podcasting, but it feels good to be back behind the mic, and I hope you enjoy this as we start with the Big Ten. I never can get to the Big Ten in my other walks across college football because I always run out of time, like I just said. But I'm going to do a little bit backwards this year. I'm starting with the Big Ten. We're going to touch on every team in the Big Ten. Fantasy values, statistics, really not going to be on the forefront today. Just going to get you acclimated with some college football information. Throw a couple names out there at you from every team. And yes, there is somebody from every team that's going to have to do something for their team. Even if you play for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, you're going to have some kind of football production from these players. So it is a little bit tougher. Because when you look at the Big Ten, 14 teams, and you already know the big numbers, the big teams, the blue bloods, the OGs of the Big Ten, you might say. that have been doing it and doing it at such a high level for such a long time. Now, I'm going to kind of go in reverse order. I'm going to start with the West Division and work my way to the East Division. The East Division is definitely where all the heavy hitters are at, and we'll definitely get into that. So, looking forward to it. But before we do that, let's talk about a couple of interesting topics that are happening in the NFL, and let's get to that right now.
Here's what we know.
I'm sure if you are a fantasy football or a football enthusiast, and if you're listening to this show, on the last day of May, I'm sure you are, you know about Aaron Rodgers, you know about Julio Jones, you know about Tim Tebow, you know about all those things. Well, I want to take just a minute to touch on my thoughts on all three of those players. On draft night, there was rumors that Aaron Rodgers was going to be traded from Green Bay and sent someplace else. There was no way that was ever going to happen. Not then, not in that venue, not in that date, on that date. They weren't going to get anything that they wanted for him, and vice versa. Teams were not going to give up what they wanted to give up, and Green Bay wasn't going to get what Green Bay wanted to get. And, they don't want to get rid of Rodgers, but it's been abundantly made clear that Rodgers doesn't want to be in Green Bay. So what does that look like? Well, there's an option of them trading him someplace else. Me, still, personally, I don't see him trading them. I think if he doesn't want to play for Green Bay anymore, then he's not going to play football anymore. He'll have to retire until his contract expires or they find a way to buy him out or trade him or something. But I don't think they're just going to make the trade, until he's going to have to force their hand. He's going to have to retire, walk away from the game, and then there's, they're hurting for quarterback situation. And there's been rumors and stories abounding that him and Jordan Love, he, constantly picked and harassed and just made fun of Jordan Love and was just, a complete dick to him. Then there's other reports that come out that say those accusations are false. I don't know. I wasn't there. It's hard to think of a grown man who has a Super Bowl ring and is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame someday, treating another human being like that. But I can also lean more towards the side of the fact that Aaron Rodgers is very narcissistic. He's very cocky, and he's very entitled, and I can see where he would do that. And it ultimately is because he's threatened, by them drafting Jordan Love. Which, if you think if you're as good as you say you are, then you really shouldn't be that threatened by the guy that they brought in to replace you someday. I mean, it happened to Brett Favre with him. It's just kind of like, history repeating itself. Although Favre wasn't near the... Let's just say this. Favre did not go out of his way to make Aaron Rodgers welcome when he first came into Green Bay. Ultimately, Aaron Rodgers was there to take, Brett Favre's job. Same's being said now. Is Jordan Love the guy to replace Aaron Rodgers? It may seem that way. They may be hedging that way. But they're not ready to play Jordan Love yet. They want to keep Rodgers. Well, Favre got mad, and he left. And he went to Minnesota, and then he went to the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. So... And then it was Aaron Rodgers' turn. And as a Packers fan, and there are lots of Packers fans out there, you've gotten spoiled with what now, 20-plus years of Hall of Fame quarterback play at the position. So, at some point you're going to take your lumps. Hall of Fame quarterbacks just don't, fall off the tree, day after day. They're few and far between. Although it does seem more and more now like more and more players are getting Hall of Fame, talk and things like that. Julian Edelman, everybody talks about Julian Edelman should be in the Hall of Fame. I do not think so. I don't think he had a Hall of Fame career whatsoever. But, it takes a special breed to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and, Green Bay has been blessed for the past 20-some years with Hall of Fame quarterback play. So the fans are going to be the ones ultimately that pay for this in the end. But I don't feel too sorry for them because of what they had in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, summing up this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, if he's going to play football, I think he's going to have to play for the Green Bay Packers. And if he wants to play someplace else and they won't trade him, I think he's going to retire. Moving on, Julio Jones, as adamantly and it's no secret, says he wants out of Atlanta. This is a play that probably should have happened maybe a year or so ago. I think with the injuries and he's always got something nagging injuries or something like that. That I think maybe his value's been a little bit tarnished. Plus, he's also getting a little bit up in years. He's still in great physical shape, way better shape than me, obviously. But I mean, I don't know what his trade value is right now. He says he wants to go to a place where he can win. He says he doesn't want to go to Dallas. He wants to win, but he wants to go to New England. And on that, I'll say this. And this is me defending the Cowboys and bashing the Patriots all at the same time. It's, why in the world would you say that if you want to win, you're going to go to a quarterback who has overcooked spaghetti for an arm? He's done. He's washed. He's done at the quarterback position. Or go to Dallas where they're a pass-happy, pass-heavy, loaded offense. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want him in Dallas personally. It'll mess up the camaraderie that they already have there. I don't want that big name wide receiver diva in the room personally, so he can go wherever he wants. It does look like rumors have surfaced on Bleacher Report and another source that I saw yesterday that maybe the Tennessee Titans are now leading the way for him to go there. And they've got a lot of the nucleus there, and he would be an added asset to that team. It would take a lot of pressure off of A.J. Brown, but it's also going to take a lot of targets away from A.J. Brown in the fantasy realm. But as a team as a whole, I think that makes the most sense, him going to Tennessee and kind of balancing out the wide receivers there, because after A.J. Brown, it gets real thin. They have Derrick Henry. They're running the ball, so they can't. They're going to be a very balanced offense. And Tannehill has proven that he can be a very good quarterback in this league when he has a good running game to rely on. He can make the good throws. He's still very, very mobile, and I really like Ryan Tannehill. So if Julio Jones does end up in Tennessee, that would probably make the most sense as far as him wanting to win. If that's what he's ultimately going for, and I'm sure it is. Moving on to this Tim Tebow thing, and look, as far as a God-fearing, role model, leadership guy, you're not going to find a better stand-up guy than Tim Tebow. Going clear back to his days at Florida, he is the ultimate role model for any young, up-and-coming football player, football fan, anything like that, and you can't say enough about him on that side of the coin. That doesn't equate to football field. That doesn't equate to ability, doesn't equate to wins, doesn't equate to helping your team in any way, shape, or form. Okay? They posted pictures. You've seen pictures all over the place. He's always been jacked. He's always just been a really big dude. He's no stranger to the weight room. He gets in there and gets it done. Day in and day out, he is a monster. He's old. I don't know how in the world you can make a switch from playing the quarterback position to move to tight end in the NFL, and he's over 30 now, and he's supposed to learn this position where tight ends who have been groomed to play this position ever since they were probably moved from, they were a bigly, strongly built quarterback or something that wasn't all the greatest with their arm, move them to tight end, and they do that through junior high school, into college, and so on. How he's supposed to come in and jump over all those guys who have been playing the position for all these years.